Okay. Weird. Yeah, it was giving me error messages, and I was like, "What's shutting down?" It said it was having trouble connecting to Twitch, and then it just stopped trying to reconnect for a second, and then I tried to turn it off, turn it back on, and it was like, "Oh, well, you're still logged in." I'm like, what? Alright, and on this side, we have triage. I probably want triage. Triage or emergency response? Tough choices.
I still haven't bought any of my purple modules yet.
Me either. Like, he said level 50, and I was just like, should I hang on to everything? I was actually looking at using tokens to buy modules to sell for credits, but because of that vendor right now, the prices are ridiculously low. Whoa, 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 hi. Okay, good. You're someone's mission. I was like, his chosen squad just popped up out of fucking nowhere.
I'll be right back.
Alright. I don't know. I do play this game way too much for right now just because of what's going on. And how much free time I have and shouldn't have. And I am kind of winding down on the end of the content. And that's where it's going to be, that's where it's going to be a lot of me looking at, okay, now that I'm at the end of the end game content where I can do nothing else but end game, how difficult it is for me to max out my character. Like the people I'm so frustrated in PvP that I can't fight against. Like they have their max characters because they pulled their gear over from the migration and then got these new modules to make them even better really quickly because everyone had their tokens already. So they're done with the game right now. Besides maybe getting the raid weapon, and I've seen people who already have their raid weapons, especially since Necrosis was so easy to farm right off the bat. So they're done with the game, honestly. I still have a lot of work to do. And I'm wondering, like, once I get into looking at the crafting, how hard is it going to be, right? How hard is it going to be once I get there? I don't know about dynamic shops. I would like it if I was able to access all the abilities. Because right now, there are 2 vendors for like each level, like 38, 39, 40. Some are green, some are blue, and then some are just flat out not sold. Whoops, too far. So, at the moment, I can't get a healing ball level 39 or 40. I can get a healing pillar, I can get triage, I can get emergency response, but I cannot get a healing ball.
Oh, hey, Boo. It was fun hanging with you tonight. I'm gonna head on out.
Alright. Yeah, I only got me 10 more minutes anyways. So.
User left your channel.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I was hoping to be raid night number 2 tonight. But unfortunately, because of the way the timer works, the timer resets based on when you killed the boss. So I wouldn't have been able to do the raids until like 30 minutes from now. And I wouldn't have been able to even do the last one in the stream time. And the next week, I wouldn't have been able to start it until basically the end of my stream. So even AOD's like, we've got some temporary time fixes for now, but even then, something's gonna have to change because you can't set up a raid group right now, like a static raid group that does weeklies. Huh, why did I get credit for that? Interesting. Like, you can't have a scheduled raid group, which is dumb. No, they should just do it by the day. Like, you beat it on Monday. You can beat it again next Monday. Based on their time. So, it would be kind of weird because it resets at like 7 my time. But that's still fine. And if you did it on like a weekend in the afternoon, it would reset like the day before, and you could do it plenty of time, just be free and relaxed to do whatever. I mean, it really wouldn't affect you as long as they just did it by the day. That's all they'd have to do. I mean, that's what Final Fantasy does. They have their weekly primal fights where you have to kill all 3, and when you defeat the 3rd one, turn in the quest, you have a week before you can do it again, and that's 7 days, not by down to the minute, but 7 days. And then there's this lockout item system, which is interesting. It's a little stingy for my taste right now, just because it's 1 drop out of 20 people that could get it, and if you don't get it, you're locked out for the week. That's it. And I mean, people are probably used to that from WoW, but man, I don't. Sounds terrible. When I play Final Fantasy XIV, they had two different systems for two different types of raids. They had their big 24-man raids, which were public basically, and you were locked out. You were locked out for the week once you got an item. Like, you could roll for items all the time, and once you finally got one, you were locked out for the week. But that's because it gave you one of every type of piece of equipment. So you want to get your hat, your gloves, your boots, stuff like that. And that was fine, because that would still be a long time before you finished one character, and then you want to work on maybe you want to work on another class, because it was kind of in between level content. Uh-oh. So people would automatically get 1 item per week, for sure, which is good because you could repeat the quest as many times as possible, and you were in public groups of 24 people. And I think you had 6 items. Let's see. No, 8. There were 2 per each boss, and there were 4 bosses per the raid. So you had 8 items you could possibly get from. And once you got one that you wanted, out of how many times you had to do it over and over again, you were locked out for the week. And then there was their very end game where it was very similar to what this is. You were locked out for the week once you beat this boss, and you could only get the loot for that one boss for the week. Well, it wasn't so bad as this though, because 1, you were only against the raids were only 8 people, and you got 2 drops per boss. Then there were also 5 dungeons. So it would be 1 week, to do 5 dungeons to get 2 pieces of loot per dungeon per week for 8 people. So if you had a static group, you'd probably get 2 pieces a week easily. Like, you were always getting something out of each week. Well, if you could beat the boss at least. So I'm just having problems with the complete lack of ability to get a damn item out of this. In this, it's 1 week, 1 drop for 20 people. That's not good. People don't like that, and that's why they had to cancel hardcore BWA, just because that was end game gear that people were getting every single time, and that they weren't going to be allowed to do for raids, but pretty close to the same power level -1. So that's why they cut out hardcore, so they could take the loot table down and make it even stingier. I'm not sure how that's going to go. They might actually just nerf the weapon altogether to make the raid gear more desirable. And if that's the case, meh. All I know is that there's going to be a need. They're going to want to put a need to do these raids, but if it's just a once a week thing for a 1 in a million chance that you're going to get the weapon you want and actually get the weapon, it's not even worth it at this point. It's just nah. And then there's the whole fact, like, that you can't redo the dungeon, like, after the fact. What they do in Final Fantasy, I mean, they do it the exact same way for the very end game dungeon, but with this kind of player base, like how we're still very split apart, where there's people who are doing raids, and then people who are still below level 20 only. Those are very, very different proportions of people. So for right now, it seems like there are a lot of people that are not able to do the raids because they're not able to get in the groups, because groups just do it and then they're done for the week and they can't help each other out. What they did in Final Fantasy for the lower tier ones, no, they're not going to do that. No. What they just need to do is do loot lockouts instead of dungeon lockouts, and say, you can't loot on this item if you've already beat the dungeon for this week, but you can still beat the dungeon to help out people. I mean, people say it's exploitable, but there's not enough people at this level of the game to really matter too much. And honestly, we need to get that. We need to get that gear incoming into the game. Not sure. We'll see what happens. But I think that's it for me. Yeah, it's about the end of the clock. So thank you guys for watching. If you liked what you saw, please click the follow button, because we got a bunch more shows coming up all the time, really. I think we have Silencer coming on later tonight with his own Firefall flair. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.